Welcome to the Cosmic Chariot. Today I want to talk about self-work. And there's many names on the streets about what that is. And for me, it has been what was called shadow work. There's some sort of integration with Carl Jung's archetypical work. And then there's some with Jordan Peterson's writing projects that involves who we are. And then there's this book. This is Susan Thesenga's The Undefended Self. There's a lot of work that involves working with ourselves. And then there is lately Richard Short's internal family systems, which deals with parts work. They call it parts, which are parts of ourselves that were developed and split when we were young, most likely before the age of 6 to 7. And then there is also my other favorite book, Conscious Uncoupling, by Katherine Woodward Thomas. That is also self-work, parts work, where we start looking within ourselves into noticing our feelings, different parts of ourselves, noticing what we're noticing parts of ourselves that sometimes don't feel like an adult. Sometimes they're contradictory, sometimes they don't make any sense. Sometimes we find ourselves in a defensive position or more in an unsafe, vulnerable position. These are all parts of us that has been developed either through events that we have learned to become who we are now, creates characteristics of us, and sometimes it is through trauma. And as Gabor Mate would say, trauma can be created just merely by our parents not giving us the support or the love or the truth that we need, or even not being able to demonstrate what love is or what the proper way to act or be loving or supportive it may be. So when we don't look at our parts, these parts of ourselves that are created when we were young, we hold these beliefs that we consistently act out within our relationships, with our friends, with our family, with our romantic partners, with our coworkers, or even strangers. And when we shove down or hide or not address anything that we are uncomfortable with, it will just sort of fester into a giant dragon, as Jordan Peterson would say. And as astrology would say, our souls are trying to learn lessons in this lifetime. So when we don't learn them or when we're not aware of them, they'll just keep coming back in the form of another place, another face, another relationship. So today I would really encourage being able to notice ourselves, our bodies. When we are uncomfortable, where does that discomfort come from? At what age did it develop? And you might come up with the age like 3 or 5. And where is it located? Where in our body is it located? Is it in our shoulders? Is it in our necks? Is it in our heart? When these things happen and we don't address them, the trauma that we sustain will just come back louder in the form of pain, possibly, or in the discomfort of having a dynamic relationship with a friend. And overall, we might not know why it's happening until we really address what is within ourselves. And truly, it is about getting to know ourselves deeply, getting to know all the parts that are both light, feel good, and are both dark. And that may not feel good, there may be shame or guilt. But until we can accept, or rather love all parts without judgment, we cannot truly love ourselves or love other people, nor can we have a healthy interdependent relationship with others. So I highly encourage you to just notice what we're feeling every day, write it down, and if there's some sort of pain or memory that causes either physical or emotional disruption and discomfort, we would definitely want to write it down and ask ourselves, how old is this part? Is this a very young part? And you might come up with like an age that is very relatively young, like say 3 or 5. And when we explore that, we can probably realize that that same belief that was formed at that age basically trickles down to experiences that we have in our adult lives. I highly recommend getting these books and start working on the shadow parts or our child parts or internal parts, whichever way you want to say it. It's all parts of ourselves, and there is no judgment. They are not bad. They are here to help us because of the experiences that we have learned. And to truly accept ourselves and love ourselves at the end is to say they are all welcomed and understood and heard, because they keep coming back because they haven't been heard. And as human beings, we want to be heard and understood. And the most important person to be heard from these parts is yourself. And hopefully these advice would be helpful to you. Thank you for watching. See you next time at the Cosmic Chariot.